There we go. Can I cash out of my 401k? How do I do this? Can I do it anytime? Not quite. And I mentioned a while back, well, not too that long ago, about, several days ago, somebody contacted me and mentioned that they have a way of people to get their 401k, but when I click on the link, it was a private video. I replied back that it was private to add me to the list, and I never heard a reply back. So I did a little investigating myself, and it's funny because the answers I saw mostly were prior to 2008. Why do you want to get out of your 401k? No, you should never get out of your 401k. Are you crazy? You're going to take a 10% hit on that, on top of it. Yeah, tell that to the people in 2008, at the end of 2008, and into 2009, who lost a massive amount of their 401k. But here's what this one guy said. And this was actually October 27, 2008, right when the crisis started, basically. A quick clarification for some readers asking whether you can cash out of your 401k and take a cash dispersal. The quick answer is no, you can't just do it at any time you feel like it. If you have left an employer where you had a 401k, you can cash out that 401k anytime. But that withdrawal will be subject to 20% federal income taxes and 10% penalty, early penalty, if you take out the cash before age 59 and a half. You cannot take a cash 401k withdrawal while you are currently working for your employer that sponsors the 401k, unless you have a major hardship. What that tells me, though, is if you have a 401k that your employer is not sponsoring, in other words, you're paying 100% of it, you might be able to get out of it, possibly. You can cash out of your 401k before age 59 and a half without paying the 10% penalty if 1. You become completely and permanently disabled. 2. You incur medical expenses that exceed 7.5% of your gross income. 3. A court of law orders you to give funds to your divorced spouse, a child, or dependent. 4. You retire early in the same year you turn 55 or later. 5. You are permanently laid off, terminated, quit, or retired and have established a payment schedule of regular withdrawals in equal amounts of the rest of your expected natural life. Additionally, you can cash out of your 401k and pay the 10% penalty if you need funds for certain financial hardships and have no other source of funds. These hardships include, and I think this is where most of you should pay attention, because I think this is where you're going to find your way out. 1. The purchase of your primary home. If you need money to make a purchase of your primary home, that's a reason to get it out. You will pay a 10% additional hit on this, by the way. Number 2, higher education, tuition, room and board, and fees for the next 12 months for you, your spouse, your dependents, or children. That's a reason. 3, to prevent eviction from your home or foreclosure on your primary residence. I actually like that one a lot. We'll get back to that in a second. 4, tax-deductible medical expenses that are not reimbursed for you, your spouse, or your dependents. 5, other severe financial hardship. So let's go back to number 3, to prevent eviction or foreclosure of where you live. I like that one because considering the atmosphere right now, that's all everyone ever talks about. I mean, that's common. I guarantee if you were to call them, the 401k company that handles it or whatever, and they're asking you, why do you want, what reason are you giving me that you need to cash out of this? Well, I'm not going to be able to make my next, I'm getting very close to not being able to make my payment here, and I need to take care of this ASAP, or next month I may not be able to, I am not going to be able to make a payment on my house, and I don't want to get foreclosed on. So, a lot of people are going through that. So these 401k companies are probably hearing that more than they normally would. Therefore, if you call up again, or not again, but if you call up and give them the same old spiel, hey, I'm having trouble, I'm gonna possibly get foreclosed, I'm running out of money, etc. Now, what I don't know is when you signed up for that 401k, what the terms and conditions of it were. You need to probably urgently find out where are the terms and conditions that I would have signed, Mr. HR department, whoever signed me up for this. Where's the terms and conditions or the agreement, etc., that I would have signed for this 401k? And see if somewhere in that agreement mentions that if you have to take it out early, it's probably going to list some of those reasons of why or how you can take it out early. And see if it says in there that you're going to have to prove. For example, if there's a little section there that says, foreclosure or eviction, subsection C, you may, withdraw your entire 401k to basically help stay in your house. However, if you do that, you must prove via, showing us your bank account, etc., that you are in fact experiencing this problem. I don't know that it says that, but it's not going to stop them from asking you to say, telling you, well, prove it. Prove that you're about to, miss a payment. In other words, we're going to have to see your bank account. I don't know that they're allowed to say that. If it's in the agreement, then sure they are. If it's not in the agreement, you may be able to say, well, I've got my paperwork here that I signed, 12 years ago, and I don't see anywhere in here that it says I have to actually prove it. All I have to do is mention it, because to be honest with you, this is personal information. I don't want to be giving out my bank account or showing statements to anybody. With the amount of fraud and that kind of stuff going on nowadays, I don't feel like I want to do that. And the agreement doesn't say I have to do that. You may be able to do that and get away with it. If you can't, and it's in the agreement that upon request, you're going to have to prove you're experiencing this hardship problem, paying your mortgage, etc., about to get evicted, and you got to show your bank account, you may want to go ahead and start taking out some, of course, depending on the size of your bank account. If you only got a few $1,000s in there, that's one thing. But if you got, 30, 40, 50, whatever $1,000 in your bank account, you better start taking out some healthy amounts of cash withdrawals. And when that time comes when you contact your 401k company to say, yes, I'm about to not be able to make a payment here shortly on my house, I'm going to get kicked out, they're going to say, show us your bank account. Okay, they will see those withdrawals, because they'll probably look at about 6 months worth of your bank account, last 6 months. So you'll have the opportunity to show them it, and it's going to show that there's some hefty withdrawals, $1,000 here, $2,000, $3,000 there. And they may ask you, what was all these withdrawals for? You could say, well, I have another company on the side that I kind of do a little side business, and I've been having to pull money out of my bank account to keep it afloat. That's part of the problem here that's killing me right now. You could also say, well, I had home repairs, and I had to do a bunch of repairs at the house. But again, if you're pulling out $5,000 here, $6,000 there, $7,000 there, $2,000, I mean, for God's sakes, what kind of home repairs are we talking about? It needs to look somewhat legit. So what I'm suggesting, of course, is something simple like what I just said. Oh, I've got a secondary business that I run, and sad but true, I'm having to tap into that secondary business, tap into my personal bank account to fund some of the stuff I got going on in that business, because it's struggling as well. Plus, I know I have a day job that has my 401k. You could say something like that. At that point, what are they going to say? Show us, prove to us that this business exists? No. And you could say, well, I'm basically a sole proprietor. I don't actually have a business name. I'm a sole proprietor. I'm not a company. I'm not an LLC, right? I'm not a corporation. I just do a little something on the side. Do whatever you can. Now, the last and final option, you may opt for this, by the way. And it's not actually a bad idea, to tell you the truth, but I'm in the mindset is it needs to be in your hand, in your possession, not in some other entity's hand controlling it for you, sending you a piece of paper every month stating that, yeah, you do have this much money here. Because we've all seen what's happened with MF Global, PFG Best, and the other one, Perennial, I can't even think of the name, something, the one they ruled on recently from 2007. that both judges ruled they can't take your money and use it as collateral to secure a loan, and if they fail, that loan is first and foremost gets their money back. That bank gets the money back that gave them the loan, and if they had to take it from your allocated account, sorry about your luck. So rather than have to deal with that again, by doing what I just told you, and you keeping it. In other words, let me back up. I'm getting a little confusing. The last option, you could actually take what they call and put it in cash. In other words, 401k company, take it out of the market, take it out of whatever investments you have in it, and sit it in cash on the side. In other words, if the market gets destroyed, your cash money is still sitting on the side in a 401k, but it was not being invested anything at the time. Therefore, whatever you set aside will sit there. And if you keep contributing to it, the cash money you're contributing to it will continue and make it grow. However, don't expect any kind of interest to occur or accrue. However, who cares, because you just want your freaking money out of the system right about now. So, if you do that, they're still not going to let you take it out, so at least it's safe in regards that it won't get destroyed if the market collapses. But if the 401k company gets in trouble and they're found out to be, well, we were investing all this money, mixing it with our own, doing the same damn thing PFG Best was doing the same damn thing MF Global was doing, you don't want to find out that your cash that you set aside on purpose because you knew the crash was coming, you were the smartest guy in the world, and you still lose because they went bankrupt and your money went with them somehow, some way, because the court said it's legit. So, if that's your only option, you can still do that. Because your money's still sitting on the side, you're taking a gamble whether that money will be there for you. And finally, I'm going to end this video with something very important that I've only mentioned probably once in some other video. And I probably should mention it a lot more than that. There is a chance that the United States government will force your 401k investment, regardless of what you chose to invest it in, forcefully put it into United States Treasury bills when the big problem comes here shortly, and say, well, we already know nobody's buying Treasury bonds. That's already been exposed. We now know the Federal Reserve has been the one buying Treasury bonds. And again, I did several videos last year. I mentioned, and I mentioned this year because the information came out this year, but it was about last year when the numbers came out of who was buying bonds for America. You know, greatest nation on the earth. Everyone wants our dollar. Everyone wants our debt because we're the best. Turns out that 60% of the world decided, no, we don't want it anymore. And to fill that gap, to pretend that there's still this massive appetite for U.S. Treasury bonds, the Federal Reserve itself purchased 60% of the entire year of 2011's Treasury auctions we had, which is the biggest red flag in the world for anyone who still thinks there's just the chance of recovery, it's coming, it's going to be fine. No, not a chance in hell. So what happens when you wake up one day and the rest of the world, you know, the other 40% that was still buying decides, nah, we don't want any either. And now the Federal Reserve is buying, you know, 80 or 90 or 100% of the bonds and realizes this ain't going to continue. We've got to now do something drastic because this is crazy. And that crazy move will be American taxpayer, American 401k holders. We've got this phenomenal plan for you guys. You guys are going to love this. You guys are going to love this plan. Ready? Yeah, what do you got? Recovery? Yes, recovery. We are taking your 401k and dumping it into Treasury bonds. You know, strong Treasury bonds. You mean the ones that the rest of the world are no longer buying anymore? Even the third world countries? Yeah, that's the ones. Okay. I don't like that idea. I don't want to do that. Oh, sorry about that. You don't have a choice. We just passed a law, like we do. We just write this thing down on paper. We vote on it. And if people next to us in Congress aren't there that day, they're absent, we just walk over to their desk where they would sit, and we press the button to vote for them anyways, which is illegal, but no one's going to do anything about it. No one's going to stop us. So we're going to do that anyways just to make sure it passes. And then what? Now you're dealing with something invested in the government, and then you're going to have probably a lot of people decide, man, I got to try to find a way out of this. I got to do the old hardship thing or something, and now you're going to have to deal with that once again, what you could be dealing with now, except this time it's going to be attached to federal bonds, government bonds, treasuries. They could do that. They might also do it after your 401k smashes to the ground by the stock market, and then invest in treasuries to make you feel like, hey, this is a smart investment, these are going to do well. To make you think, well, that's better than the stock market, at least it'll start going back up again, when in fact that's nonsense. You should have took your money out and bought gold and silver. So I've given you some reasons, giving you some thought about this. What you do is up to do. If you successfully do what I've mentioned, let me know so I can do another video telling people that somebody has done it successfully and this is how they did it precisely. Thanks.